Here we go. Hello again, this is Levvl, and I am back with another Metal Gear Solid Delta video. So apparently a select few, a very select lucky few, you bastards, got to spend some time with Metal Gear Solid Delta at a previous event. I forget what the event is called. You bastards. I guess they're allowed to talk about what they experienced, and we're going to be taking a look at GameStop's experiences with the game. I was contemplating on like not watching anything MGS Delta related because I kind of want to be surprised, but still don't know the release date. So until they release or until they like announce a release date, I'm gonna continue covering information as much as I can. All right, here we go.
In 2016, Konami released a pachinko machine based on Metal Gear Solid 3. The idea to be seated in a pachinko parlor instead of getting the lengthy, cinematic Metal Gear Solid experience we had come to expect. 8 years later, the dream of a proper remake is being realized with Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater. Announced via a 2023 PlayStation showcase, questions immediately arose about what we could expect from this update. Hideo Kojima has long been absent from anything Metal Gear, and his signature style of storytelling and game direction is perhaps the series' defining feature. This first glimpse lacked the humor, flavor, and Kojima factor the fans expected from Metal Gear Solid trailers.
I mean, it kind of faked us out.
A soulless corporate remake of the 2004 classic?
Did its job.
Entire virtuous mission,
right,
essentially the game's prologue.
The entire virtuous mission?
London.
Y'all got to play the entire virtuous mission, you bastards? Y'all are lucky.
To report that all signs point to Delta being the Snake Eater remake that fans have wanted for years.
Okay.
Unlike the polarizing Twin Snakes remake of the original Metal Gear Solid, which featured fully re-recorded VO and an egregious amount of artistic license, Delta...
Once again, the Twin Snakes, it's not a proper remake. So I personally don't count it in the Metal Gear Solid timeline. It's still great. Right? It still has its moments, but it's not a proper Metal Gear Solid remake. Moving on. Okay,
Despite Hideo Kojima's messy divorce from Konami, Delta doesn't shy away from his name and direction. Even little details like holding R1 to look through Snake's eyes are perfectly replicated down to the timing of the button prompts.
Cool.
Once you gain control of Snake, which takes a while, this is a Metal Gear game after all, numerous welcome gameplay updates become apparent. The older MGS games always had inventory and weapon selection relegated to the trigger buttons, but by utilizing left and right on the D-pad, Delta's modernized controls share more in common with Metal Gear Solid 5.
So they're taking the MGS 5
to swap your camo on the fly by holding...
Where's the... I'm doing LeBron. I'm doing the LeBron right now. What is this? Hang on, let's go back.
To the trigger buttons, but by utilizing left and right on the D-pad, Delta's modernized controls share more in common with Metal Gear Solid 5.
Left and right on the D-pad for items and weapons.
A handy update allows you to swap your camo on the fly by holding up on the D-pad.
Oh my god, they did it. They actually did it. Octo camo is in Metal Gear Solid 3. Well, sort of. That's so good. Can you imagine just having to change camo on the fly instead of navigating through menus, especially this from the start menu and then doing the camouflage and then picking it out? That is a good call. This is what I've wanted them to do, or this is what I've been asking for ever since Delta was announced. Like, wouldn't it be cool if they swap, if we were able to swap the camouflage on the fly? And now we can. Now we can.
To quickly access the camo menu. Holding down, meanwhile, gives you quick access to your codec contacts. Your health, stamina, and camo index are now displayed in the lower middle of the screen rather than the upper corners.
That's gonna get some getting used to.
One of the touted game.
I hope that we can. I hope there's an option that we can put it up there, but I don't know. We'll see.
Play features of the original game was its CQC, close quarters combat system. It allowed for a lot more than just snapping the necks of guards. You could interrogate them, slit their throats, toss them to the ground, or use them as a human shield. While it allowed for more variety, it was easy to perform unintended actions thanks to its specific required inputs and utilization of the PS2's pressure-sensitive face buttons. You'll no longer need to whip out a manual, do a Google search, or call the boss to remind you of the basics of CQC, thanks to Delta's useful tooltip system.
Those CQC techniques I taught you are sure to come in handy.
Oh, but
Just grab a hold of an enemy with the right trigger and all of your options will be handily laid out on screen for you. This system will also remind you of Snake's potential actions in various combat scenarios. As I dangled off a bridge to avoid detection, I forgot that Snake could aim and shoot with one hand. Thanks to the tooltip, I pulled out my tranquilizer pistol and neutralized the approaching guard before he had a chance to discover me. While Snake always had these abilities, these quality of life updates in Delta reminded me of them and I wound up using them more as a result. With modern action games avoiding frequent load times, it's natural to wonder if Delta's gameplay zones would remain cordoned off into their own sections or if they'd be stitched together into a larger contiguous world. As is the case with most aspects of this remake, the developers have chosen to remain true to the flow of the original. You won't encounter any real load times when moving between areas, but the screen still fades to black and comes back in displaying the name of the new area
that's
fine.
Like
in the original. This adherence to the experience of the original applies to most aspects of the gameplay. It's not like this is suddenly Breath of the Wild and Snake can climb every tree and scale rock faces. He's still limited to climbing the same ivy-covered trees that were there in 2004. Personality has not been sacrificed in the pursuit of realism. Giant anacondas will still become neatly packaged in to-go boxes upon their death. Guards flail and sprint away like cartoon characters when you shoot down a beehive in their vicinity. You'll still be alerted that you've created the time.
This is all old footage, by the way. They're describing the what they experienced with the new game. They just can't show the new game, obviously. This stuff is good to hear. Give a little insight into what to expect.
Mask if you select I like MGS2 at the outset of your mission. I was not greeted with an old Snake mask when I selected I like MGS4, however, so it remains to be seen what the other game selections do. One of my few complaints about the original game was the cumbersome survival viewer and curing system. When Snake took damage, you'd frequently have to go into a menu to perform a series of actions to repair his various wounds. There's a world where this could have been cool. Selecting numerous styptics and suture kits from a menu wasn't exactly an immersive experience. It remains to be seen if this system will be as intrusive in Delta, as it isn't introduced until just after the Virtuous mission in the original game. That said, I did see a grayed out cure option in the survival viewer menu, so it's likely back in some form. In terms of truly new content, I did discover a bit during my 90 minutes with the game. Snake's initial bag of gear grants you a compass that presents cardinal directions as well as an objective indicator in the lower left corner of the screen. Rolling is given its own dedicated button, triangle, and you can now dive to the ground from a standing position. On top of the returning hidden frogs, I encountered one camouflage duck toy. It was draped in what appeared to be a ghillie suit, and it went up in flames when I shot it, and it caused the duck to start hopping and quacking. It's unclear at this point what this accomplishes, or if they're just a bonus collectible. Of course, the most obvious upgrade is the visual presentation, and Delta does not disappoint in this area. The lush jungle features far more detail than before, with additional ambient wildlife and tons of little details like Snake trudging through the mud and leaving a distinct trail. As Snake takes damage over time, it will be permanently reflected on his body and clothing during gameplay and cutscenes. All of the characters look fantastic and true to the original designs. Volgan's scars are deep and detailed, the N's eye pop is unsettling, and the Sorrow's blood rain is much more pronounced. My demo was locked to a 30 frames per second fidelity mode, but the final release promises a 60 frames per second performance option. On the remake spectrum, Delta's ambitions fall somewhere between the enhanced visuals and quality of life upgrades of The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker HD, and the substantial Resident Evil reimaginings in recent years. It certainly isn't attempting to change things up as much as the newer Final Fantasy VII titles. This is a relatively straightforward, modernized remake of the original, which is in no way a complaint. Snake Eater has such a distinct personality that to make
they're treating it like what Naughty Dog did with The Last of Us Part 1, but I feel like with this game it's a lot more justified because it's a much older game. The Last of Us Part 1 didn't need to happen.
Too many
in my opinion. Because we still have the remastered, but, you know, whatever. Naughty Dog.
Tweaks would risk losing much of what made it special. Delta's dev team is walking a tightrope with such a beloved title, and everything I saw during my return to the Virtuous mission has me confident that they're handling this with a deft hand.
That is good to hear. That is very, very good to hear. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so they're saying that you can push up on the D-pad to access the camouflage menu. How would you navigate through it, though? Using the right stick? Probably the right stick. Wait, hang on. What is this?
On the D-pad, but by utilizing left and right on the D-pad, Delta's modernized controls share more in common with Metal Gear Solid 5. A handy update allows you to swap your camo on the fly by holding up on the D-pad to quickly access the camo menu. Holding down, meanwhile...
Oh, yeah, okay, so you have to hold it. So then my guess is you would use the right stick to select the camo that you want, and then let go of the up on the D-pad, and then it'll be equipped.
Well,
Either way, that I like that.
Handy update
I'm happy
allows
that
you
I
to
was
swap
able
your
to
camo on the fly by holding up on the D-pad
manifest
to quickly
that. About the codec, I feel like we'll be able to call them and then move at the same time, possibly, just like Metal Gear Solid 5. But I'm wondering if there's an actual like codec screen with Snake's silhouette, and he's doing the little. This is interesting. Oh, the health and the stamina are down here. They are changing.
Close quarters combat system.
They are changing a lot. No, but yeah, like I'm really happy about this. They realized how good Octocamo was in Metal Gear Solid 4. No, I'm kidding. That was quite the information dump though. But I enjoyed every second of it. I cannot wait to play this game. I don't know if I would say that this game is riding on Konami's future. We still have Silent Hill 2 remake to deal with, and that in and of itself is a first step on Konami's redemption, because that could be hit or miss as well. But you know what? Only time will tell, I guess. But yeah, I'm happy with this. That is gonna do it for me for this video. Please give us a release date. Please. All right, I'm done begging. Make sure you guys subscribe, leave a like, comment, all that stuff. I'll see you guys later.